Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
So excited to have my guest today. I just think he's brilliant. And I know this sounds horrible, but I don't think that about a lot of comics because I'm burnt out and I don't sit and watch a lot of comics, to be honest. Like, people ask me that a lot. Do you watch a lot of comics, or who do you think is funny? And you know, I was never a huge fan of stand-up. I was a huge fan of Saturday Night Live, and you know, Lucille Ball was my idol, Carol Burnett, and but I've watched this comic a bunch, and I think you're great, and I just want to welcome you, Raanan Hershberg.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I'm a huge fan. Fan.
I know you've said that. Thank you.
I mean, your stuff like actually makes me gut laugh, which is. You know, I'm like a dead inside comic. So that's a rare.
That's why I think
thing.
you're funny. That's why we both think each other is
Yeah.
funny.
Well, I take a lot from you, so you're really just complimenting yourself because I've stolen my whole act based on yours.
You're hilarious. I mean, we are similar on stage. You're
a little
nuts.
similar,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're nuts on stage, which is why I think you're funny, because you're fearless.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Likewise, yeah. We're really just ego stroking.
Well, it'll mean nothing. That's the thing. We'll leave here and it won't even faze me that you said you think. I mean, I don't. Which is sad. It's fine. I don't leave conversations like this and go, I'm funny. Like, It doesn't even. Does it faze you when someone
Compliments you?
Yeah. I mean, do you
It's like
leave the conversation going, wow, I am funny?
No, in my head, it's like I always want compliments, and then when they happen,
I know.
you're like, I feel nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like
It doesn't-
relationships. You think it's what you want, and then you're in it, and you're like, yeah. I think we want to
everything.
strive for the compliment, but never get it.
I know. Tell me how you. I don't always ask people this because I really don't care, but I do care with you. How did you get into stand-up? I want to know how you got into it.
You mean it this time.
I do, because I don't
obligatory.
always ask people that because I could give a fuck. But I do want to know what led you into this.
I was doing screenplays. I never wanted to be a stand-up. I mean, I always liked it, but I always thought
I didn't either.
I didn't respect it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know what it was real. I was like, what is it? Who cares?
Yeah. I don't know. I got into screenplays, and then I always kind of wanted to do stand-up, and I guess I'd written like a bunch of screenplays, and I'd get like, you know, I'd spend 6 months on a screenplay and get 4 friends to like pretend to read it, you know? And then you do stand-up once, you think of a stupid dick joke that day, you say it, and people laugh. More people laugh than will ever read your fucking screenplay.
Right.
So I guess I got charmed by the instant gratification, you know?
Yeah.
I think comedy is like, it comes from an insecure place. You really need that gratification quickly. We're too insecure to like do art where it takes too long.
I know.
to come
That's
out
true.
with it. So,
yeah.
So I think that was, and I went back to Louisville. I left New York, got a bunch of drugs and bad situation. Went back to Louisville, kind of in a rock bottom, and that's when I started stand up. I think most people start stand up in a rock bottom.
Yeah. I was very unhappy when I started stand up.
Well, have you seen Raging Bull?
Yes, of course.
The funny thing about that movie is that his rock bottom in that is literally him starting stand-up at the end of the movie. He's like, he fucked like a child and went to jail. And then they're like, how do we make it even more degrading? And like literally after that.
More degrading than doing that? Yeah.
He starts stand-up, and that's truly the rock bottom in the movie. And I think that's very relatable, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone's stand-up is like, I started stand-up after a divorce. I lost my job. I lost my family. I had nothing left. And that's what makes stand-ups great.
Yeah, it's right. What's worse than that? Yeah, it's so you moved back. So you grew up as a Jew.
Yes.
In Kentucky.
Yes.
Wow. Was there a community there?
Yeah. There was we had one Orthodox synagogue, conservative, a couple Reform synagogues.
I would never think that.
Yeah, it's really funny. There is and they keep fighting, even though there's so few of them, which is hilarious. Like there was an Orthodox synagogue, it had like 20 people.
Well, that's small.
That's small.
For people that don't know, that's very small.
But big for like Louisville, but then they start fighting, and they literally split off into 2 different groups.
Wow.
So it's just getting smaller and smaller. It's like down to like 1 person per synagogue.
So did you grow up Orthodox?
Mm-mm. I grew up conservative.
Okay, which is pretty, okay, I grew up Reformed,
So-
which is the lowest level.
Lowest level.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
the lowest level is nothing.
The lowest level is Christian.
Right. Right. So, I mean, I did go to Hebrew school and I was bat mitzvahed. So that's not
That's
the
not
lowest
nothing.
level.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
No, yeah.
Conservative is the next level up.
Yes.
So you were, and then there's Orthodox, and then.
Yeah, conservative is like following the rules, but it's not like as sexist. You have like, women play equal parts.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And then there's
you know?
Orthodox.
And then there's Orthodox.
Yeah.
Which is following all the rules,
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up conservative, kept kosher.
Okay. So that's pretty, yeah.
It's pretty intense, yeah.
Yeah.
To some people, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, Goldman has a joke. It's perfect. It's like everyone who's less Jewish than me isn't Jewish at all, and everyone who's more Jewish is just like crazy,
Yeah.
But it's like,
that's so funny.
So I'm like a fucking Hasidic Jew to you, probably.
Right. Because when you said I keep kosher, that's pretty,
Yeah.
to me, that's really religious.
But there's other Jews who are like, you don't even keep it correctly,
Right. Is it important for you to be with someone who's Jewish?
No, I'm trying to not have that happen. Going out of my way.
Are you looking for love right now?
Always, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Failing, but always looking.
You like being in a relationship.
I fail at it miserably, but I want to be in my heart.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard to be. Do you find that it's hard because of, I know it might be hard, period, for you, but do you find it harder because you're a comic?
Yes. It's the kind of, it's like kids. It's like I really think I want them, but I do nothing to make it happen. That's kind of like with relationships.
Yeah.
I just did a taping and I had so many exes there.
Oh my God.
All my relationships just lead to, it's just a long way of getting fans to come to my show. They're all there. They're just like literally the last 3 with their new boyfriends.
That's so funny. It's like you just date people to get them to eventually come to your show.
All
Bring your friends.
Relationship just leads to a comp.
That is. Yeah, it's very hard to be, especially in this field and what we do.
But you have a
I
wife
do have a
and
wife.
children?
We just got into a thing just yesterday because she was texting me saying, when you go away, you get to relax and rest and have. And I'm thinking, it's so interesting. I think they think that we're going to the spa and we have like cucumbers on our eyes. I mean, I am so tense. I mean, I'm so anxious. I'm barely sleeping. I go to sleep so late. I get it. She's home, the kids, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not relaxing. I'm not.
No.
That's the honest to God truth. There is no relaxing. I'm going to sleep at all hours of the night. I get up very early in the morning because I'm anxious and I'm still getting up early.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
People think you're just relaxing. I just want to be like, don't you realize this job is a mental illness?
It is. And I'm not, and we're doing shows where we're getting up and we're starting pretty early in the night and we're not ending until very late.
Yeah, and you're worn out and lonely.
And you're working during the day. We have to work during the day to keep our career going.
Sure, yeah.
And sometimes we have to get up very early and do press. And we have to constantly be on social media and do interviews and do podcasts. And we're constantly having to do stuff.
It's a lot of work and still better than most jobs. But.
Of course. I'm not complaining. but to make it like I'm at a spa,
no, you're not at a spa,
fucking getting, rub downs is not the case. So,
you're at a shopping mall performing for assholes. You know
right.
what I mean?
I'm in the Mall of America next to a Hooters getting assaulted.
It's not a resort.
Have you traveled around the world doing comedy? Have you?
Recently, I have not. I actually went to Europe recently.
Oh, cool.
And did a bunch of shows there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was the first time. I've never been anywhere in Europe. I'm worldly now.
Oh, that's cool.
I went from a hick to being worldly. Yeah.
Did you go by yourself or did you go
No,
on a
I was
tour?
opening for Louis.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
To some people.
I didn't know that. No,
Yeah.
he asked me to go. I couldn't go. But
Yeah.
did you? Oh, I didn't know you did that. So you went with Adrian?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah.
You went to some cool places. I saw that.
It was awesome. We went to Israel first, which was amazing.
I toured in Israel doing stand up, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah. I hadn't been till I was 16, and it's really nice to. I mean, diversity is great, but it's really nice to be around your own people.
It is very special as a Jew.
I felt normal for once.
It
you know
is.
What I mean? Like I was just like, I don't know. There's something special. I mean, because you're like that idiot jock on the street, that hot ditzy girl. They're all Jews.
I know.
It's an interesting thing.
It really is. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I felt very. It was beautiful for me to be there.
Yeah.
It really was.
Hey there, auto mechanics, super cool do-it-yourself guys who work on their own cars. I want to tell you about RockAuto.com, the online store with every auto part at the best prices. This is your one-stop shop for everything auto parts. RockAuto.com has been in business for 20 years, and they make it easy to find the parts you need at the best possible prices. Fuck yeah! No more talking to counter guys who need to order your parts, aren't really sure what you're looking for, never have quite what you need, and then after all the hassle, will still charge you storefront markups. At RockAuto.com, you can easily find everything you need, and whether you're a mechanic, an auto shop, or working on your own car, everyone has access to the same incredible pricing at RockAuto.com. I love tits! So if you're a car guy, right now go to RockAuto.com and check out all the parts available for your car. You're going to have so much fun looking at car parts. So once more, go to RockAuto.com. No promo code needing as their pricing is already that good. When you order, make sure to tell RockAuto.com that you heard about them on Disgusting Hawk. RockAuto.com. Let's get back into it.
Like, yeah, I had a big going to Europe. I went there, and I went to Germany, and I went to Poland. It was I dealt with a bunch of stuff going, because I went to Poland to go see my. We were off for a little bit, and I had to decide what to do, and I decided I'd go to Poland because my grandfather and his father are from this little small town in Poland, and my great grandfather was when he was like middle-aged, he had 9 kids. He was accused in the town of murdering a child, part of blood libel.
Wow.
The blood libel thing.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's like an anti-Semitic it's superstition that Jews would kill Christian children, take their blood, and use it in matzah for Passover.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. Matzah's delicious. You don't need to add anything to
I know.
it. It's
I mean,
perfect.
if anything, ketchup, not
yeah,
blood.
I know. But it was like the original QAnon, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
QAnon, yeah. But he was working one day in the field, and there was these gypsies in town, and they hear the commotion from the Jewish cemetery, and he goes over, and there's a gypsy girl murdered in the cemetery, and the parents are crying over it, and they point to my great-grandfather and be like, he did it, That's what you did back then. You have a murdered child. You just look for the nearest Jew, and go like, he did it. Right. And they they started beating him up, and he kind of rushed to the police station, and there was a whole, kind of not like a trial, but there was going to be a trial. And then another kid in the town, a girl in the town, said she could identify him. She saw my great grandfather do it, and then they lined him up with all these other Hasidic Jews, and she pointed to the wrong one, and they let him go.
This is the craziest story.
Yeah. I didn't mean to launch right
No,
into it,
I love this. This is real life shit. It's crazy.
But they let him go, and he a couple years later, people still, it was like getting canceled. People still thought he did it. You know what I mean? He lost all his work, and so he went to America with his children, and this was like 8 years before the Nazis broke in. And,
wow!
And they killed every Jew in that town. But he had already escaped. But anyway, I wanted to see the house that he was from.
Wow.
So because I had a cousin who had seen it 30 years ago, the same house. So I wanted to find it. So I decided to go back to Poland to find the house,
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's a weird. Have you been to Germany and like Poland?
Yes. Yeah.
It's weird as a Jew. You know, like
It is. Did you go to a concentration camp?
I didn't.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, I kind of came to terms like, you know, I'm like your typical Jewish comic. I have like a lot of Holocaust jokes, and I don't.
I do too. It always comes back to that.
I know, it always does. And I don't mind. I love a good Holocaust joke. But then you go to Poland or Germany, and you really do have to like deal with this, like, oh, there is some Holocaust trauma.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have. And I just like ignore that always. And then you kind of have to face up to it a little. Because I went back to this town, and there's no Jews, and everyone's like pretending there's never Jews there, but it used to be all Jews, and it's just erased. So, you know, you're like, oh, you kind of come, you know, I mean, I still say Holocaust jokes, but, you know, both, I guess that's part of it. The trauma leads to the jokes.
Well, that was what I was thinking when you were just talking. I mean, it's when I do jokes about our past and our trauma, Jewish people laugh. It's the non-Jews who get tense.
Right. They get offended on our behalf.
I know, and it's like, why are you offended? You have nothing to do with what happened. Like, don't.
I get mad. I tell you, I have Holocaust trauma. You not laughing is preventing me from relieving my trauma right now.
Exactly.
I'm offended by you.
I know.
Haven't you done enough to us Jews? Now you're going to force me not to release my trauma.
It's amazing also that people, you know, I say this on stage, but it's really true. It's like, people in New York and LA will be like, what do you mean people don't like Jews? I'm like, are you out of your mind?
There's definitely a tension.
They don't, but people really don't think that people don't like us. Like, there are a lot of people who don't believe that. They can't believe it.
And that's where I had to find this interesting balance going to Poland, where it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm a victim. You know, you don't want to be in the oppression Olympics. It's just exhausting. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you don't want to go so extreme that you forget that we were genocided. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't like,
and people still want to. Yeah, a lot of people still want that to.
Yeah, so we're not. I mean, you know, we're not just like, it's not all good. You know what I mean? We were the number one. You know. I mean, like, besides the Native Americans, we were the number one, like, systematic genocide. And I do think people are like, nah, you're just white. And it's like, well,
yeah.
You know, but you also don't want to, I hate being those Jews who are always like, who say it all the time, get offended by everything. You know, you don't want to be, I don't want to be in the oppression Olympics. That's the balance. You don't want to be in the oppression Olympics, but you also want to accept that you have some Holocaust trauma and that we've been through some shit.
I know. I'm the same way. I feel the exact same way. It's It's hard. I really do understand where you're coming from, and I do feel the same way. But it's interesting. I love being a comic and being able to talk about it, and kind of educating people, and it's fun to talk about.
Well, let me ask you this. I find, and maybe it's just the way, I mean, I don't even know. Sometimes I find if I make fun of Christianity on stage, there's like this tension.
Oh, sure.
Where like people are like, easy Jew.
Oh, yeah.
And I say it out loud. I say that just to like relieve it. But there's this, like, I don't want you making fun of our, you know what I mean? There's like a weird tension. And the part of being a Jew is you never know how much you're projecting. That's part of being a Jew. You never know. Part of people are like the anti-Semitism in your head. I'm like, that is what Judaism is. It's like, I think I'm projecting, but I think I'm correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you never fully know.
I don't think it's in our heads.
No, it's a little, maybe.
Yeah, a little, but I think it's pretty. Yeah.
It's like both. It's there and it can, it's both.
Yeah, but that's why I like what you do.
We're neurotic, but for good reason.
Exactly, for good reason. No, that's why I love what you do, because it's so, you speak the truth on stage and point out what's really going on, which is what
thank you.
Yeah, but that's important. Because a lot of comics just don't say what's going on, and they don't address the truth of what's happening, and that's great that you do that. I mean,
I really appreciate it.
It's funny when comics do that. You know, when you analyze what's really going on in the room, it's refreshing.
Yeah. To like.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
15 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah.
What's your 15.
What's your goal? Like, what's your you have like what you would love to do? What's your dream when it comes to this business?
Just, I mean, I still love screenwriting and making movies, and I do want to do that. As for stand-up, I love, I love doing stand-up. I love doing solo shows. I kind of do both, and I go back and forth.
Like a one-man show?
Yeah, I've done like 5 of them. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I really like those, and I kind of go I go back and forth. So like I do the stand-up,
Yeah.
which is like, some level of vulnerability, but also just needing to crush the whole time, which is, and then after that, I'll try to start working on a solo show, which is more vulnerable. Still tries to be funny.
What kind of subjects have you talked about in your one-man shows?
They're very like, so a lot of them have been kind of trivial, but then me trying to make a big deal out of it. One of them was, I was on the road and my phone broke while I was on the road doing comedy. I didn't have a phone for a couple days. And it was,
That's
it was
horrible.
capturing that experience
Yeah.
of, being alone with my thoughts and fucking in fucking Oklahoma.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah, having to like actually reflect on my life.
Yeah.
So that was one show. I've been working on another show about the house I grew up in and stuff, and just different stuff from my childhood. But yeah, so did a show about losing my virginity in college called "Please Someone Fuck Me."
That's a great.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
SUNY Purchase. You know that?
Of course. I know SUNY Purchase.
Yeah, I went. I went. I paid out of state for an in-state school and then didn't graduate. I did it the perfect way. Out of state for in-state, and I still have loans, and I don't have a diploma.
Oh, it's great. I mean, life is just not easy.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't like. Yeah, I get loan. I just don't pay it. I don't know if that's a problem.
Well, I think that's what most people do. You just fuck it. You don't pay it.
I mean, here's the thing: there's no debtor's prison. So,
right. I mean, you just don't have good credit, right?
Yeah,
no
honestly,
one
my
does.
credit's okay too. It's not even that bad.
Yeah, I think just most people just don't pay their student loans, and it is what it is.
I'm just not. I just always think the world's going to end. Like
It is ending.
It just seems
it's
weird.
ending fast.
Yeah.
Look what's going on.
It seems short-sighted to pay your loans.
Yeah, so you said, and also I know, like you, like me, have been, a partier into the drugs. Me
Yes.
too. I mean, I've talked about it very openly on here.
Yes.
This business does not make that easy. So
No, yeah. I sobered up like 5 years ago. When I moved to New York, I quit drinking.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I just like, I don't know. I just wanted to. My doctor actually told me I had fatty liver disease.
Really?
Yeah, and he said, quit drinking and you'll go away. And then I quit drinking and it kind of went away. And then I was like, I'll just keep on quitting drinking. And but yeah, I quit drugs a couple years before that. I was a mess. My first 6 years in comedy, I was like drunk all the time.
Oh, did it affect like your shows and like?
Yeah, I wanted to be Doug Stanhope, and I still think he's a great comic. But
Yeah.
he's a great comic, but unhealthy influence. Because no one can do what he does.
I know. I've been around him at shows in the past 6 months, and I'm like, how does he function?
It's actually a very dangerous message because he's like super drunk and has these amazing hours.
I know.
And it's like he's so prolific, and it's like the worst PSA ever.
I've actually thought that. I'm like, this is not good for people to see.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people have told me they've seen him like have like whatever train wrecks on stage.
I have.
I have not. So I've only seen him like do a perfect hour and always do.
I haven't.
I need to see the train wreck so I can. But it took me
Yeah.
years to exercise the Doug Stanhope demon.
Yeah.
And just realize that like being sober is for me at least better because. And now I go the other way. I'm terrified of ever having any kind of like change of consciousness or substance before I go on stage.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
would freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
I never have. The only time in 23 years I smoked pot before one open mic at Gramercy Hotel 22 and a half years ago.
Oh,
Isn't that
wow.
crazy?
Yeah.
And I had a panic attack, and I was wondering why everyone was laughing at me. Now, within these 23 years, I've relapsed, and I've been on drugs, and I've never drank. I
Yeah.
haven't had a drink in 22 years. But
That's great. Congrats.
thank you. But I've relapsed on drugs. But
That's so funny when people
pills
do
and
that.
pot. But I've never used before I've gone on stage, except for that one time I smoked a little pot. And freaked out. I freaked out.
It's awful. First of all,
Awful.
Weed is all. I smoke weed occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a relapse just because I hate it. So I'll never
Yeah.
relapse on something I'm not gonna like relapse because
Yeah.
it's just a panic attack for me every time. But I keep on doing it because I'm like, why do people love it? I want to know. It's just a panic attack for me.
Yeah.
But I never do it before I go on stage because I'm not insane. But a couple of weeks ago, I broke that rule. I was with this girl and she was smoking weed, and I thought we might hook up. And if I'm going to hook up with someone, I'll do whatever they're doing. They could be playing Russian roulette. I'll join in just to try to hook up with them.
You should say that on stage. That's really funny.
It's true.
That's a funny bit.
I will do whatever. Jump, suicide, jump
Suck
off a
a
building.
cock.
Yeah, I'll suck a cock to hook up. Whatever. I just will do whatever to get laid because I'm,
Desperate.
desperate and a sex addict. But I don't have a lot of sex. It's just
That is so funny.
I'm an addict who goes through withdrawal quite a bit. But so I smoked it. I took just 2 hits.
Well, nowadays, if you take 1 hit, you're
It's insane.
annihilated.
It was a joint.
Doesn't matter.
I know because my brother sometimes when we go on vacation, he has like a vape, and I'll take a couple hits, it'll be fine. This was a joint. I took 1 hit, was okay. Took another hit, completely disassociated, and I had a cellar spot.
Oh my God.
It was like in 5 hours, but I was crazy. It was like I was watching.
I'm feeling freaked out just hearing that.
It was like watching a movie. This is why it's to me anxiety, which I have.
Me too.
A lot of it terribly. Yeah, is being disassociated.
Yeah.
And that's what weed is. So I don't understand. Like other people find it high. Like other people find it enjoyable to like be disassociated. But so I'm like just watching a movie of my life. Joe List, I live in the same apartment as Joe List. He's furious because the whole apartment smells like weed. He's like yelling at me. I'm just watching it like a movie. I'm like, man, Joe looks really angry right now in this film. And then I have to go to the cellar and I'm freaking out because have you ever seen Big John Malkovich?
Yeah.
You know how like it gets trapped in the person's forehead and you're looking out at that's how I feel like weed is. I'm just trapped in my own forehead.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
I feel for you. This sounds horrific.
And then I have the cellar. It's like McDougal,
Horrible.
Yeah.
That's a big deal that you have a cellar spot and you're high.
Yeah, it was bad. And then this is the worst part. I had the best set of my life. It was like the worst.
That's
I
the
dug
worst
Stanhope
part
myself. It was like just a
But
crusher.
the leading up to it isn't even worth it.
And it's not.
That whole leading up anxiety shit is not worth the good set.
It's not worth it. A comic once told me something that really stuck with me. And except for that one break, he said, it's silly to get drunk or high before you go on stage because you're numbing your feelings.
Yeah.
And it keeps you from feeling the high of like that comes with the joy of having a good set. The buzz. It actually prevents you from having a buzz. So it's actually much better to be sober and miserable and hope you have a good set so it'll take you out of the misery.
It's also dangerous for addicts, for people like us, because it's dangerous. It's a slippery, then you have to do it kind of. You can get into that.
And then you don't want to feel good. You don't want to feel too good before you go on stage. I just think you want to be real on stage.
Of course.
You want to be like.
Present and real.
And I'm not like funny when I'm high. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I might be fun. I mean, I laugh a lot, but I'm an idiot. You know.
Yeah, I used to be funny when I was a kid. I was very funny
Really
when I
high?
was
Yeah.
When I was a teenager or when I was 20.
Well, I
But
guess if
now
you smoke
I'm-
all the time. Yeah. Now it's like I smoked a joint at the party last night.
Yeah.
Or 2 nights ago after my taping, and it was like embarrassing. I was like going in the car back home, and I sounded like a college freshman. I literally at one point said, life really feels like a dream. I said that. It was so embarrassing. Getting high now is like really embarrassing because I'm 37 and I don't do it a lot. So
You're like, life is like a bowl of cherries.
Yeah.
It's a pits.
I just start saying like cliches and like, man, it's crazy. You don't know what we all have a different idea of what a color is. It's just like I'm just so embarrassed. Like it's just like embarrassing, and
I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we went to the Cellar party, and for everyone that's listening, the Comedy Cellar had a party in April. It was the holiday party. I mean, it was months after the holidays.
Yes, that's true.
But there was a lot of pot smoking and drinking. I mean, I saw people being physically carried. Did you see that?
I saw some woman who, I saw her at one point. Yeah, like really out of it.
Yeah. Then there were a lot of people jamming their privates into other people. I mean, it got
really?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you saw that on the dance floor.
Grinding.
God,
I thought you were talking about some. I thought there was an Eyes Wide Shut room or something.
No, but there was a lot of.
I got to get invited to that room.
I know. I like watching when the staff and everyone starts getting really wasted. There's a lot going on the dance floor.
Grinding and dancing is like very confusing to me because it's like, are we about to have sex? Like,
I know. I'm like, did someone just enter someone, or is?
I don't know how people can separate the two things. I'm like, We're just,
Yeah, I'm like, did someone just finger someone, or are they saying hi to each other?
Yeah, it's very complicated.
What's happening right now? But I just watching them and it was.
But you were
lot.
near the dance. Now that I remember, you were actually dancing a little.
Oh, I love to dance.
I think I walked by you. You were
Yeah, I was dancing with Danny Cohen, and I was dancing. But I asked him to play some of my kind of music, and then the dance floor. Yeah, I asked him to play the soundtrack from Schindler's List, and the whole crowd.
It's my favorite karaoke song.
I asked him to play Yentl, and everyone cleared the dance.
Papa, can you hear me?
Papa. No. Well, I did ask to play some older music, and everyone cleared out except for Danny and I. And
that's how you do it. It's like when they have the adults swim in the pool and the kids have to leave.
Danny's like, everyone just left. Danny's like, this really shows our age.
Yeah,
I'm like, I know.
Swim time is now. The pool is now only for adults for the next.
Oh, it was a little embarrassing. He played like old dance music, like, the Jacksons. I don't give a fuck. I'm this music sucks that they're playing. I want to hear some good dance music.
Yeah, so Jackson 5 and
stuff. Yeah, it's like good music.
Yeah, you can listen to Jackson 5 because it was okay for him to be attracted to children then because he was a child.
Right, exactly. Honestly, it was fine because the music is good. So I look past it when I hear
the power of music. Like, that's truly like the power. Like, that's why it's like, it's probably hard to listen to Cosby now. I don't know.
I hate Bill Cosby anyway.
Yeah, I never really liked it.
He's someone who tells everyone to be clean in their comedy, and he's fucking raping every other. I mean, come on.
That's what I always understood. Like, people always said he was like nice. I'm like, no, he's not nice.
He was not nice to a lot of comics. Really actually, he was just very mean to
fake
comics.
Wholesome.
Excuse me.
Wholesome is different than, and he wasn't actually wholesome. He was a serial rapist.
Right.
But like, wholesome's different than nice. He was smug.
He was actually supposedly very mean to a lot of comics.
Yeah. But it's hard to complain about that now because there's a very long line of complaints you can't.
Right.
Bill Cosby raised his voice at me.
Right. I heard he wasn't nice to, I think, Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock. I don't remember, but he was not nice to people.
Yeah.
Right. He lectures. That's what I heard.
He does that thing. You had the greatest advice to me as a stand-up. You just said, like, just be yourself and don't let other people, like, try to diminish you, Yeah. It was amazing advice, or just amazing thing to hear, because, like, a lot of stand-ups just give the advice that worked for them. And they're all, like, they're just, like, a lot of stand-ups advice are just, like, do what I do. So Bill Cosby's like, be clean. It's like...
Do what... which is which is do what I do. I mean, I know, but that's what they think for you.
That's what they think advice is. Even so many... I mean, we're all... I think it's... Anytime a comic gives any advice, it's ultimately what works for them. And that's the thing about comedy. We're all alone with our own body and voice, and we have no idea what works for that body or voice. You know what I mean? So it's different for everyone,
That's true. I mean, it's like Seinfeld is always, I feel like, telling people what they should and shouldn't do.
I know. Some clean comics, they don't want to, like, curse, but it's like... Because if you cursed, people would be like... Well, why are you talking about Pop-Tarts? It's ridiculous. If you were like, what's up with these fucking Pop-Tarts? You'd be like, it sounds trivial. You got to be clean.
Yeah.
To, like, make it feel, like, important.
I know. Yeah. But I feel like I would love to hear Seinfeld talk about where his pain comes from, because there's a reason why he's standing there, and I really would like to not hear about Pop-Tarts. I really give a shit about Pop-Tarts.
I know. It's, well, that's the thing, right? Like, and what I love about you as a stand-up is you're so... openly broken, if I don't mind to say.
It's true.
And I love it.
I am.
I love it. You're openly, transparently chaos, and I love it. It's inspiring, and it's just great. You talk about food stuff in a way that is so great. And so sometimes you see comics. I guess Seinfeld is like the opposite. It's like other comics are like, come on, aren't you broken a little? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
there's a reason why he's doing it. Everything's not so great.
Right.
There's a reason, like, what is... Let me something that's not working besides your opinion of, like, remote control.
Because it is. I mean, there is something that stand-up is unhealthy.
Yeah.
I think there's some. I mean, I guess there's some lack of attention we got, or something.
Of course,
right?
there's something.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me one thing that didn't work in your childhood.
Slip it in between the Pop-Tart.
Yeah,
material.
Exactly.
Yeah, why are Pop-Tarts the blueberry? My mother told me I'd never succeed in life.
My
and
mother,
then the other Pop-Tart, the cherry.
Exactly. Yeah, my uncle touched me.
Anyway, scuba diving.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm
I love
so
you too.
glad that you came in. This went by so fast. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you came in to talk to me. I really I do love what you do, and I think you're so special on stage. I love that you do these these shows. I'm
Yeah.
gonna check them out, and I
Yeah.
love that you write screenplay. Like you're so multi-talented. I
I
love it.
try to like fail at all sorts of things. And
I try to do a bunch of things
try
that
to
aren't going
make
anywhere.
not a dent in a lot of different directions.
No, you are so talented.
Oh, thank you. That means
I
so
never
much coming
forget
from
when I
you.
watched you on stage at the Cellar that night, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's fucking hilarious!" Like I was
Yeah.
blown away by you. I mean it.
Well, as you know, from one yelly Jew to another.
I know. I love that you yell on stage because I
Actually,
feel
I guess you don't really yell.
I do yell
you
a
yell,
lot.
but you also
I do.
You also have control of. You also don't.
we both
Yeah.
yell and don't yell.
Yeah.
But I do yell sometimes. Trust me.
Yeah.
But tell everyone where they can find you online so they can follow you.
Yeah. Well, follow me on Instagram. It's Raanan Comedy. That's RAANAN Comedy. I would love for you to follow me. And I have a special on YouTube, my 2019 special, Downhill Ever Since, which I recorded right before the pandemic, so very appropriately titled. And you can see that on YouTube. And I have a new special I just taped at the Cellar, which will be available on YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube. It's just Raanan Hershberg, Raanan Hershberg, Hershberg. Yeah. And I have a podcast with Joe List called Joe and Ron on Talk Movies.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's
and
really fun, yeah.
you and Joe, I mean, what a great combination. Joe is amazing too.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
the
Joe
best.
very much.
Yeah.
And yes, follow Raanan and watch the specials. He's so funny. I'm so glad that you came on.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean,
Yeah, and he's at the Comedy Cellar all the time. You have got to go see his stand up. It's great. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you, yeah.
I love
It was
you.
great.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.